It's weapon day. We're talking about Astral Vulture's Crimson Plumage. Quite a mouthful, I know. We're gonna be raising it, seeing if anyone else can use it. It does need materials completely new to version 5.2. I did do a little bit of pre-farming, so this won't take too long. Let's just start with getting it as high as we can. I mean, already 37 crit damage at level 40. There's level 60, we're at 48 crit damage. I think the main bottleneck here is going to be the elite enemy drops because they are completely new to this version. Level 70, yep, we already need some elite enemy drops as well as one whistle here. Thankfully, we are right next to the crafting station, and with its new little system here, we can just do this. And we can also take a look at the updated crafting animation. It's so fast now, just boom. It's not totally instantaneous, but it's still pretty nice. What isn't nice is one bonus on 33 sucrose. What are you doing? We only need blue whistles as well, so let's just go ahead and make all of those. We're gonna need 14 bonus on these 13 purple sucrose. 0. Wow. Yeah, that's not looking too good. We need 22 more purples. You usually can't get many of the elite enemy drops in the Stardust exchange. Like 16 greens is gonna be almost nothing, and 12 blues. Basically, we could just make 5 more purples. 17 to go. I think just my world will be enough. Nothing super special happened with the mirror farming I did yesterday, so I'm not gonna bother showing too much of it. To be honest, there wasn't too much to see anyway. This is how most of the runs went. These are the guys we need. I think we'll be fine just going off the adventure handbook because we could find quite a few of them. They're a little bit annoying to get to, but with some nice exploration characters like these guys, it's really not too bad. No purple. Yes, purple. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong dude. Another purple. These guys are a little annoying because you can't even start dealing damage until their like bar is gone or filled up or whatever, but we did get another purple. No perp. The fact it's raining doesn't help either because we can't even get burning on the dude to do ease faster, but it's fine. We don't need to do too many. Another purple there. No purple. All right, this should be good. This should be good. Boom. Nice. Oh, no purples from either of them though, come on. Another bundle of 2 and another no purples, but you know, honestly, I think we probably have enough. Yeah, easily. Okay, those guys definitely aren't too bad actually. Like it was not even 2 full runs of enemies and we have all the mats we need, which is kind of crazy. We should be good for the last couple of stars and it is actually shaping up to be a pretty average base weapon. 606 and 66 is it? 608, whatever. Yeah, very average base stats. This is what I would consider like the default. Any higher base attack, lower crit damage, whatever is an outlier to me. I mean, you will see that the majority of 5-star bows do have 608 base attack. But yeah, let's take a look at that passive. We got to kind of move that out of the way there. I had to, okay, the bow was in the way. Basically, the wielder gets an attack buff after a swirl reaction happens is what I'm assuming. It doesn't say the wielder needs to trigger a swirl reaction, even though in Chaska's case, she will be the one doing the swirls anyway. But that is one thing I want to make sure of. Besides that, we have a pretty juicy 48% charge attack and 24% burst damage increase here on the passive. And the only qualifier is having 2 different element types from the wielder in your team. I want to clarify the team requirement to max the passive as well, since it could be understood that you need 3 different elements for both stacks, which isn't the case. Here's my Venti in a mono animo team. He gets no stacks and does 2456 damage. Replacing one animo with a hydro gives us a stack and he does 2947 damage now. Replacing one more animo with a hydro gives us the second stack and we do 3635 damage now. Just for completeness, I tried all different elements, same damage. 3 hydros at once, same damage. It is only important that the user of this bow isn't in a team with 2 or more same element characters as the bow user. So yeah, the requirements to max the passive are very easy in her case, and I think they'll be easy in a lot of other bow users' case as well. First, I want to make absolutely sure that it doesn't need to be the wielder triggering the swirl reaction for the 24 attack. This should be quite easy to test. We're just going to swirl Binny's pyro with Kazuha and see if her attack increases. If my math is right, her attack should jump to 1885 from this 1656. So we'll just apply pyro, do the swirl, that happened, check character, 1846, so we're like 40 lower than I said. Interesting. Okay, so when I triggered a swirl reaction with her, it is the exact 1885 I thought it would be. Oh no, would that mean we were just getting the 20% from Freedom Sworn? Because that math would also line up. Definitely saw swirl there. She does not get an attack buff. Oh, wow. Well, what can I say? I mean, I'm glad I tested it. While I was streaming my polls, there were several people in chat that said anyone can trigger the swirl reaction to get the attack buff, and I kind of believed that, because again, it would usually say the wielder has to trigger the swirl reaction, so it's just a wording issue, I suppose, but also quite sad. I mean, most characters are not going to be able to get this 24% attack now. Since you can't actually apply an animo aura, it's only these 3 bow users that can trigger swirl. One other thing we can try, just for the sake of completeness, is having swirl occur while Chaska's on the field, but her not causing it herself, as in like Kazuha's burst. There was a swirl, you saw that pop up there. And unfortunately, as I thought, she still does not have an attack boost. In a nutshell, these are the only units that can fully use the passive. For the two people that main DPS a C6 Faruzan, I mean, I guess it's okay. I'm not a Faruzan expert, but I'm pretty sure most of her damage is considered skill, not charged or burst, but the main stats and the attack are pretty good, and the other buffs aren't totally useless either. Venti, I don't know if anyone actually main DPSs with him, to be honest. But again, I think in his case, even though he's not going to utilize the charge buff very well, outside of some incredibly specific teams, it would still be okay. I do want to look at the other bow users because even if you can't get the 24 attack, the rest of the passive as well as the main stats are still pretty good. Lyney, for example, does most of his damage with charge attacks, and his burst can do a decent amount as well. The only issue with Lyney is that there are some teams where he's going to be with two other pyros and thus not maxing the passive. Though I'd say the bigger draw to having two other pyros in Lyney's team is to max out the gimmick stacks here. For his A4, it's just important you're attacking enemies with a pyro aura on them. So the other two units could just be Geos, Animos, or units that don't apply a lot of element to remove the pyro. I'd still of course say his signature is better overall, but if he could get that 24% attack, it's definitely more debatable. Especially because Lyney and Binny always want to be together, the massive 60% attack here is a little less valuable when Binny's already giving 1,000, whereas generic damage bonuses like the 48 charged and 24 burst could go a longer way in some teams. But that's hypothetical because he can't get the attack, even though I do think it's a very good bow for him, at least if you don't have more than one pyro in your team. Yelan, for example, can be a very good support for Lyney, and she won't mess up the pyro application. Tighnari is a really interesting one as well, as again, the vast majority of his damage comes from charge attacks, and a good amount from burst as well. As it will be with pretty much everyone, I do think his signature Hunter's Path is better, but it's a little hard to quantify because it directly depends on how much elemental mastery he has. I mean, sure, I like to use the bow on at least one character, so I think it would be pretty interesting to compare them and just look at damage, because otherwise it is pretty hard to compare a scaling with elemental mastery additive damage increase to generic charge attack damage increases. We'll just have Nahida in Deepwood and 1100 EM. It is a bit annoying that one has crit damage and one has crit rate, but since we're trying to see specifically the difference between the passives, we're going to try and just keep the crit damage the same. So we are currently in Hunter's Path. He has 480 EM. I think from Fischl's Elegy and Nahida's buffs, we should get close to 1,000, maxing out his A4 passive, but we'll see. We're not going to do his burst because I don't think it's necessary for this test anyway. We're just going to plant everything down, do his E and 3 charge attacks here. So 1, maybe we'll just look at that first hit. There was a 56 and he's dead. We're gonna try and keep the rotation simple so it's easy to recreate it with the different weapon. Just E here, 3 E's here, E and then 3 charge attacks basically. Try and take a look at those numbers. There was a 56, 56. Can you stop doing that laser attack? Yeah, we are definitely seeing 56, so I've fought this guy 3 times now. I want to do one more to see how much EM we actually have while we're firing. 56, okay, go to character. 1045, look at that. We are maxing it just barely though. So we are gonna try and keep almost the exact same stats. I mean, it's very flat 200 crit damage there. So we've switched over to Astral, and unfortunately the test is ruined as we do have 0.1% more crit damage. I'm sorry guys. We also do have a little more attack because this has a higher base, but I really don't think it's gonna matter that much. If the results are close, they would have been close with the exact same stats also. Let's give it a try here. 50, what? 54? Those first two definitely did 54. That is actually way closer than I thought, and here are his stats full buffs. Again, 1700 attack, a little higher than the 16 something we had. We have maybe 40 more EM as well, but everything else is exactly the same. But honestly, yeah, I am pretty surprised. It is hard to say. I mean, we got the cluster bloom arrows that happen after the charge attacks, which will be buffed in both cases. It's still considered charge attack damage, but because Hunter's Path is additive damage, it might add up to more total damage if you know what I mean. Okay, I tried to get some footage of the cluster bloom damage as well. I should have that with Hunter's Path already, so I might have some thoughts on screen. Okay, yeah. I'm coming back into the office for this one because no way some text on screen would suffice. With Hunter's Path, the 4 little shots are doing over 15k, with one going to 49k due to spread. With Astral, the little shots are only doing 6k. And 45k for the one that spread. That's just the power of additive damage, especially when we're rocking 1000 EM. I just didn't think the difference would be that much. So the full charge attack is around 150k with Hunter's Path versus about 120k with Astral. Obviously not that close anymore when you look at everything. Still though, I think the test was at least a little biased in favor of Hunter's Path due to having almost unreasonably high EM. I don't count that we could have technically had higher crit damage with Astral though, since we wouldn't have enough crit rate. In fact, the higher crit ratio on Hunter's Path is overall better than the default skew on Astral. Tighnari does scale with attack, but it's less important than crit stats, especially especially for him. So while it's definitely not better than Hunter's Path, I still think it's solid. It will buff that first hit, and the burst will be a bit stronger as well. Trying to see the burst difference in a real battle and rotation was a bit of a nightmare, but I could see a few consistent numbers like 11,876 from Astral and 10,715s from Hunter's Path. I doubt that's fully accurate, but regardless, it wouldn't make up for the 30k we're losing every charge attack. Honestly, I'm just happy that this time the TLDW isn't, oh, well, it has decent base stats, so it can be used for most people. Yelan at least appreciates the 24% burst bonus, but that's about it. I guess if you have her at C6 and can spam breakthrough barbs, it'd be quite a bit better. But besides that, I don't think charge attack bonus is that important for her. Ganyu, of course, she's another charge attack DPS. I'm pretty sure she doesn't care about the burst buff at all, but still 48% charge attack damage is all right. And finally, Child does do some amount of charge attack damage, so the passive isn't wasted there. More importantly, a lot of his damage comes from burst, so he appreciates that buff. It's just smaller than the charge attack, unfortunately. Still though, passive definitely not useless for Child either. A surprising number of bow users can use it well. I can't confidently say it's best in slot for anyone besides Chaska. For the one character we actually tried it on, I think it has a lot of promise, especially because I feel like we gave the advantage to Hunter's Path. We pumped him with over 1,000 elemental mastery to really get a good effect from his passive here. But yeah, I guess that'll pretty much do it. All in all, again, I'm just happy we could talk about some things instead of just looking at the base stats. It is unfortunate, basically no one can get the 24% attack bonus, but the charge attack and burst buff have very lenient requirements. It's just team comp, and in most teams you don't have 3 of the same element. So yeah, all in all, pretty solid, like, general bow, I would say. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below though. Dropping a like or subscribing to the channel if you enjoy is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time. Hey, stop doing that. No, you're not allowed to shoot a bow inside. Hey, I just told it's weapon day. We're going to be talking about Astral Plumage. It's weapon day. We're talking about Astral. What the fuck is it called? It's weapon day. We're talking about Astral Vulture's Crimson Plumage. I think I remembered it.